Welcome to Behind the Citgo, where we pull back the curtain on the unseen truth of addiction recovery and talk about things most people never get a chance to see. I'm your host, Josh Torbich. Each week, we're sitting down with people who lived it, led it, and are still learning from it today. This isn't polished, it's real, it's raw, and it's noted in the faith and hope because we do recover. So whether you're in recovery, walking alongside someone who is, or just trying to understand what healing really looks like, you came to the right place. Let's dig in. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. Another episode of Behind the Citgo. Y'all, I got to tell you, my guy, director Monty Burks, came all the way down here to DC just to hop on this. Thank you, man.
You're welcome, brother.
Bro, thank you so much for hopping on this thing with us, coming all the way down. He is the director of faith with HHS right now, working for the Trump administration. We really appreciate all of your interest in us. Today, you've been touring the facilities, walking through all of the campuses. First of all, I just want to say thank you for highlighting work like ours from your office and from your seat. We really appreciate it.
And I want to say thank you back. I was able to experience what rural transformation looked like. I had no idea that you guys had really dove into so many spaces: prevention, treatment, recovery, criminal justice. I saw a model that incorporated every single thing and how faith communities could be a driving force for change.
Yeah, all of our folks, man, they were just trying to tighten up. As soon as they heard you were coming, everything, they greased all the wheels. I said, hey, come, lay the new mulch, shine the doors. No, thank you, man. And you know what? You could tell you were right in your element. I worry about folks sometimes whenever they come down. I got a good board chair. Her name's Laura. She tells me about this sometimes. She's like, don't have people drinking from a fire hose too much. You know, make sure they only digest the most important thing. Brother, you're on it. You got the energy for it. This is your language that we were talking all day today. I can tell you just digested all of it.
Well, man, this is my people. You're my people.
Yeah.
And when you walk in a room with people who have lived experience, people that are justice impacted, people that openly identify as someone who is living in freedom.
Yeah.
Man, that is what America looks like. That's what America is. And you guys exemplify it. I have not in my career seen such a good system that is connected across, all of these different spectrums that pull people into this space. Freedom is a concept. Faith is a framework.
Wow.
And you use both of those to help people become the greatest version of themselves.
Yeah, that's such a good word, man. This thing, you're a national leader right now, and you're taking up so much space being able to push back faith inside of the middle of the arena, so to speak. Hey, which also works because I read your bio, man. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a black belt. Yeah?
Absolutely, man. So part of my own personal journey is Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts. And I can say this, I share the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background with multiple people who work in the federal government now that are people with lived experience. Right? Oh, yes, man. I'll make a joke about it, man. We wear pajamas and fight each other. It's actually part of our recovery journey. Our freedom from life controlling issues is new playground and new playmates.
Yeah, you're talking about gi or no gi.
Absolutely.
We know about gi and no gi, man. Okay, I got two in-laws and they're black belts in jiu-jitsu and they're tough. I don't want to mess with them. So look, you're a national leader though. One of the things that I really want to highlight, and you touched on it a little bit, your personal experience in this space and being able to bring that to the table. You're not just reading it from a book, you lived it. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Man, my own personal journey, I had a unique rock bottom moment 26 years ago, and my access to support from life controlling issues was through a church. I was introduced to a step study. The step study was what I needed to help me accept that I needed to go into something deeper. I needed treatment. But the power of the faith community to be a driving force for change for people is something that's not even well defined. And my own personal journey is I get to speak life into a process that has existed since well before my time.
Yeah.
I meet you. I see people that have walked the same path. And so it helps me and it reminds me in a leadership role to continue to tell the truth, to not over academic a process where people just need grassroots community-based resource. You've done that and you've created this unique opportunity for people to not only find freedom, but to also be prosperous and to thrive. And I think that we have to remember as professionals, always give a voice to the little man whose struggle is deep. because that one person might be the generational change needed to impact 5 generations of his family and maybe mine and yours too.
Yeah, I know one of the things, man, today, everyone who you got to meet, from the residents that we interacted with today, all the way up to our staff, they were so encouraged to see you, from a background of lived experience with substance use, have landed in the national leadership role that you have now. What was the moment that just the pivot took place that opened up those doors for you? I know it started inside of the governor's office in Tennessee. Talk about that a little bit.
Man, Josh, and thank you for asking that. Many moons ago, I used to stand on soapboxes and scream about the power of freedom and redemption.
Yeah.
And so what does a reimagination of a person look like after they find, peace? And I was given an opportunity to work in state government in Tennessee. And then I was given another opportunity to create a project. It was around faith-based initiatives. And then lo and behold, the recovery community not only gravitated toward it, they became the working model of how to connect government and faith and do it in a way that it keeps both of them operating in their lane, but it also teaches them how to work well with each other. This gave me the experience to work closely with the governor's faith-based office to help build initiatives that supported children in foster care, to supported people that were coming out of the criminal justice system. And that experience, all of that, opened the door for an appointment to work in HHS, to get the call and be given an opportunity to work in the United States Department of Health and Human Services to represent people with lived experience, to be a part of the United States government and pull our faith communities into a unique fellowship process has been something that I would have never imagined when I was in my darkest moments.
I can believe it. Yeah. You probably wake up a few mornings like, all right, pinch me. I get to go to work today, wake up type of deal. See, that's beautiful, man. So much hope, so much encouragement that just circulates around that small story that you just told. We know there were many details that got left out of that process, but the Lord had a purpose for your life and you get to live in that today. One of the things that I think most pivotal that you got to experience through the process of all of that was helping better equip rural churches inside of our communities on how to respond to people who are struggling with addiction. And one of the things that I think really jived with me from listening to some of your past experience initiatives that you were passionate about is being able to create a middle relationship that helped bridge the gap between these churches being able to actually serve as the first responders. One of the things that really stood out to me that you said today, what do you think of when you think of a first responder? Everyone thinks of ambulance, EMS. Of course, they're first responders, but oftentimes it's the church as the first responder.
Yes.
And being able to digest that here, especially for our folks tuning in today, how did you arrive at that? And then talk to me about how you better equip those churches to be able to serve in that space.
Man, so, in the height of the opioid pandemic, it hit the whole world. Not just the United States, it hit the whole world. And people in our local communities were having to address things that were happening to their family members, their children, their mothers, their fathers. It didn't have a group that it did not touch. And when I worked in government in Tennessee, we had this unique opportunity to listen and try to figure out who was the first person, the first contact. And a lot of times we found that the first contact was our local houses of worship in our rural communities. So we wanted to make sure that we equip those houses of worship with information, access to treatment, technology, and anything else they needed to help serve people, keep people alive, get people to treatment, find recovery support, create recovery supports. This really equipped me to work well in the job that I have now, because I can see it from a global perspective that our congregations and houses of worship have actually been on the front lines since the beginning. They're actually older than government.
Yeah.
And so before we had an organized system of government, our houses of worship function in parallels to keep this country moving. So why not equip them with resources so they can be a part of a healing equation for a broken human?
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's amazing when you think about how long the church structure, it's been here long before any of these social groups have been here serving the communities, community-based organizations. The church outdates all of them, and it will continue to. The church isn't going anywhere. The houses of worship are still going to be standing strong long after even organizations like ours are gone. Today in your work in HHS Office of Faith, talk to us a little bit about that. how all of that experience it's come to a head for you. You're able to serve in this middle perfect space to be able to work in this office of faith. Talk to us about your work.
Absolutely. So I get this unique role, this wonderful role. Unique is going to be my bridge word. I get to travel across the country and listen to stories and see programs like yours that serve people no matter where they are on the continuum, no matter where they are in their process, and open the door utilizing the belief in something greater, hope, healing, order, purpose, and excitement. Giving people that open door opportunity to find whatever it is they're trying to find so we can create a generational impact or a generational change. I get the opportunity to listen to our faith communities, to figure out what they've done, to make sure that government is a resource, not a barrier, and to also take that information back to other government agencies, as well as other leaders across the country and say, hey, listen, you're not operating in a silo like you think. You have somebody across the country that's doing very similar work. Maybe you guys should talk a little bit and figure out what's a best practice or how you've had to deal with hurdles that you come up against. The unseen hurdle sometimes can break a program, but remember, nothing's new under the sun. And so you have people that just may tackle it a little different. Being able to have a position to put these folks together to utilize all these wonderful things they've built, and then maybe they can help tutor or mentor the next generation of practitioners that want to lead with faith first.
Yeah. See, one of the things I love the most about what you talk about, and you've been able to share it on a few different expressions today, that community-driven systems are where people can excel, not vice versa. It's not a systems-driven community. Christian Recovery Centers, it's a system. It's a model of recovery, and people travel through it, and it offers resources, and it has program direction. But what you got to see today, it's really first a community. People know each other, people trust each other, people count on each other, and people are looking for one another. See, when you're not somewhere you're supposed to be and someone's looking for you to be there and you get that's a community. What do you think people most commonly inside of the work miss that people need traveling through programs like ours, struggling with substance use disorder and looking for that next step in life? What do you think is one of the most common threads that gets missed to actually rebuilding someone's life?
The opportunity for community, and for relationship. People that have traversed across programs sometimes run into a system of transactions that they never actually get to have a dialed in relationship.
Exchanges. That's a great word, man.
Just exchange. What about an opportunity for commitment and community and then relationship?
Yeah.
We know that when a person has a peer relationship with someone, mentorship from someone, or access to long-term fellowship, it can equal life-changing circumstances. We've seen it. We've all seen it. So I think something that we need to reiterate and to make sure that we mention loudly is that commitment is a currency. And when people have that type of currency, it equals long-term freedom.
Yeah. Commitment to you, commitment to each other, commitment to the process that we've all subscribed to. You know what you're saying right now, relationship. You got to find your people, and those people got to find you. And, as folks get well, a lot of times that they find inside of that community base, their next step for employment opportunities. You're a great fan and champion of workforce redevelopment. You got to see some of our programs today, right? That you gave a few pointers to us. You said, "Oh, did you think about this?" And I was like, "Dang, why didn't I think about that?" Okay, I got you. Cool. We haven't figured it all out. You came down and helped tee us up a little bit. But a big fan of workforce redevelopment. Talk to me about how important income mobility and someone finding meaningful employment is in this process.
Empowerment, confidence, ability to take care of a family. We create an opportunity for a person to find freedom from a life controlling issue, and then they don't have access to upward mobility. So you have a person that's been restructured, rebuilt, reimagined, and now they have a complete infrastructure community to support them. But then they go into the workforce and they don't have equal access to employment.
That's a good word.
And so now we have an opportunity through projects like yours. You see that, you see the person. So you build and work with external communities to pay them not just a wage, but a good wage, a good reward for consistency. That creates upward mobility. that person gets to go and teach their children. And then it shows the community around them that hard work pays off. Teach a man to fish. Don't teach a man to be dependent on a fisherman.
Yeah, people, when they find themselves in true freedom, they found something that no alarm clock really needs to wake them up for every day. Not saying that they still don't need it, just saying that there is that cocktail of life. Maybe a bad pun for a recovery podcast, cocktail. But they do find that place inside of their space to where it's like, no, okay, my life now pulls me. I don't have to chase it. In a job, what you're going to spend so much time doing is a part of that. And what I've come to find out too, just 60% of our population here, we have about 100 employees, 60% of them are recovery program graduates. They've been in the judicial system. They've been a part of programs before. They're hard workers. They are really mission driven, committed to their work. And what I think is like, there's a whole population of employers out there who are really missing out because they've isolated this entire group of people as not hireable. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have. And so one of the things that you will do well, you do it well and you will continue to do it well, is that you've created a mechanism for these really good employers to see really good employees. Mm-hmm. They see that you're a business development model. You're a workforce development model. You bring them people that want to go to work, that want to earn. This is good for business on both ends. And it also creates that vein of opportunity for success where the people that graduate your program, they can be your biggest ambassadors to tell other people that do recover. We do recover.
We do recover.
And one of the things that's in the president's EO that supports the Great American Recovery Initiative is reentry, workforce development, access to employment. So we talk about recovery support. A significant portion of people that have been incarcerated have a significant substance abuse history. And so we're helping people reimagine their life without addiction. Now all of those blinders are gone. Now it's time for access to work, housing, wealth, all of the things that can create and change generational issues.
Yeah, you've worked really hard to pull all of those threads, not just in your current role, but in Tennessee when you were in the governor's office. You were working to tie all of these different institutions together, church, courts, judicial systems, employers, all of that. So they all have to be at the table to make that thing function the way it's supposed to be. The ecosystem of care, if you will. That's really what it is. It takes all of these people coming to the table. What's the hardest part to get them there?
One of the hardest parts isn't to get them there. It's to keep them there.
Yeah.
When leadership changes, so do initiatives. And so one of the things that happens really well with faith-based communities, they stay consistent long-term. So having the faith community as a hub or as somebody that with equal access, it can remind the other communities that it's important to stay engaged with partners for projects. People can join a faith community and be there for 25, 30, 40 years, 5, 6 generations. None of the other entities we just named have that power or access. So having faith communities dialed in to leadership roles and then also equal seats at the table gives us an opportunity to keep those other ones engaged. Even if there's a seismic shift in initiative, it still can be people-centric.
Yeah. See, watching folks who tussle back and forth with the idea of where the wind blows, is what you're describing. And you're right. There is a certain refreshing aspect to the consistency that a lot of the faith community offers and the direction that they're headed. Also in what they've considered most aspirational. You don't find them shaking loose of what their highest yielding aspirations are. And having that and being in pursuit of that is a really meaningful process. When you watch people who are traveling back out of programs and they're going to re-enter society, they still have to find their village. And, hope is a big part of that. It's not just hope that I've been able to accomplish what I've been able to accomplish. It's hope that there's something next. When you're interacting across all of these programs across the country, what do you see that folks do to keep the hope alive while they continue to climb the next mountain?
Fellowship. The old timers, the people with experience, they've been through this. They've been stuck along the way. I want to say something to anybody that can hear this. If you're an old timer, you have any kind of lived experience, please give that back to the person that's struggling. you can help them bridge over troubled waters. So one day they can be you and they can help the next person that's going through something that's in their mind, something that could ruin them or could take them away from their family. I think that again, I will reiterate that one of the things the faith community does well is it fellowships well and it communes well. So you can meet, you can greet, you can fellowship, and you can do it consistently.
Yeah.
And of course, there's more than one day in the week. People that don't understand how the faith community works get attached, get into a loving relationship with a house of worship, with clergy, with Josh and his team, and then figure out how to do life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, you heard him. Come on out. We got more fellowship than you need every day of the week out here fellowshipping. One of the things that I think is most interesting and probably dynamic for us inside of the recovery community is our ability to build connections with folks that we've never even really met before. There is this bonding experience. Come on, we felt it this morning, right? Yeah. No, we felt it yesterday when I picked you up from the airport, all right? I got to say,
yes,
you want the image that I thought was covered. You look like you was about to armbar somebody right there at the top of the runway. But I mean, come on, man. There is this instant bond when you find out that two people traveled a similar journey. You know, you're in that recovery community. You're building some already credibility with one another because you get it. I mean, you've been there, you've seen it, you've done it. And there's so many of us out there who are living free. One of the issues that I know happens all the time is people like to get stuck in the mud with the failures that they see in recovery. Your sightline gives you access to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who've gotten well from this thing. I mean, we're talking about our judicially involved folks, prison for 10 years, but then came out and spent the next 20 building something that looked like a really meaningful life. We're talking about the folks who are smoking crack behind the Citgo. Spending all of that time just squandering every opportunity that they had. But then, major comeback story, God touched their spirit, and now they're ministering the gospel, preaching revivals in places. Tell me about how aspirational that makes you feel to keep on driving in the role that you have.
Man, it not only does it help me personally, it makes me sleep better at night.
Yeah.
The church is an incubator of narrative changers. And so when people find access to a church and they find a community in that church can be part of a collective impact model to help reshape and redesign the next leader. Man, you see people that have been broken by every system in the world, and then they find they find a Laura, and then they're like, okay, somebody loves me for exactly who I am and who I was created to be. And then you give them leadership tools, and then you give them other things. You feed them, you clothe them, you put them through everything around them to just restructure that good, raw chaos.
Yep.
And then you put them into leadership positions. And on the external of this, help the narrative. Find people that'll tell the real story of success and stop hinging on the failures. Everybody has fallen at some point.
Yeah.
But sometimes we have to remember that these are the next generation of our society. Let's tell about the wins. Let's highlight the successes. The recovery journey is unique and powerful. My story is no better or no greater than anybody else's, but to me, I got stuck on step 4 for years. Fearless and moral inventory of myself. I'd look in the mirror and say, okay, I haven't evaluated this right. I can remember when I started to move up through where I was at, and then I could look back and I remember that the individual accountability that I had, it's like it was me. All of the time, it was me. Yes, there were external circumstances, but it all started with me. The ability to be able to be humble enough and to submit and to realize that I could do something greater if I would just come to grips with the choices that I made. You see all of these wonderful people that have found this freedom. They work in Fortune 500 companies. Sometimes they don't even tell you their story because they're afraid that somebody's going to judge them for their past and they've already moved past it. And I think that that's unfortunate, but we have to remember that they're out there and hopefully one day they have the freedom to change the narrative with us.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. The next steps for you guys, I know that you've already been serving in your role for 2 years, almost 2 years, right? And you got 2.5 years left inside of your current role for the current administration. So I knew you for about 20 minutes and I already was like, well, nobody needs to fill this guy's gas tank up. You know, you just got the energy that comes off of you. And the way you buzzed around here today and drank from all the tall glasses that we put in for you to digest. I know you got some ambitions for the next two. And talk to me about the highest hanging fruit ones. What are you trying to accomplish?
And so I've got to tell you something funny.
All right.
And so I've only been in this role 6 months.
Really?
Yes. I was with the Tennessee governor's office 2.5 years. And then before that, I worked in another Tennessee department for over 10.
Wow.
But it's all been with faith-based communities.
Yeah.
So I know the work. And I was in the previous Trump administration, I was a liaison with HHS. I worked with Secretary Azar.
Okay.
And I worked with the faith-based office. And so I know the work and I know the community. My ambitious goal will be to make sure that our faith-based folks all know each other.
Okay.
I think that giving them the opportunity to see each other and to function together helps them function well, which creates a recovery community that people might not know exists. Faith, spirituality, access to religion are all things that promote positive recovery experiences. Of course, everybody's not going to have the same experience, but there are a lot of people who have really good experiences, and our programs need to see each other and also have the opportunity to talk to each other about these are the things that I've seen. This is what works in my community. This doesn't work so well. And listening to you and your team this morning, looking at all of the bases that you've covered to be not only a good model, but a great model, and to make sure that you pull people with experience into leadership positions. Man, this is the jam. This is the sauce. Giving people the opportunity to lead, empowering folks. This is what changes culture.
Yeah, agreed. And watching folks at a larger scale than ever, you know, that's what I think is so meaningful to me. You know, moving the needle 14 beds at a time, you know, where we came from today, 2019, we have 14 beds. It's meaningful to those 14 people, but you really don't feel like you're doing your best. Now to be able to see folks on a larger scale than ever getting well right in front of me, brother, it's like drinking from a tall glass of water after you haven't had anything to drink 3 days. You know, it's the most beautiful experience to watch that kind of take effect in our lives and watch the program work. This thing has been encouraging to me. Your visit down here, the time that you spent with us, just listening to your ambitions, but then also listening to your experiences that you have. And to be frank with you, your responses to our programs. So you got that gift right now. You have the gift to be able to go visit these places that you're supposed to be checking out. And while you work to cross-pollinate, to connect them to other resources, just realize that you got the power to encourage the mess out of them like you have for us during your stay down here. You feel that, don't you?
Absolutely, man. You've been nothing but hospitable. One of the things that stands out about the work that you do is you understand that every single person that you help find a healing solution, they can be the generational curse breaker for their family.
That's it, man. Yeah, it's about putting the families back together. This has been really good. You've been gracious to give us your time. And if you're going to come back, you're going to have to go see the beach. Yeah, you didn't go see the beach.
No,
you just
I
made a quick
didn't go see the
business
beach.
trip.
I came to see you guys. I can smell the water from here.
Tell the residents
go,
where's the beach?
I'll say this, man. What a wonderful place. What a wonderful program for a person that needs to get away and get a new playground and playmates.
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity to fellowship. Every single human that I met in the hallway today had their own unique story, but you could see that they were so happy to be free in these small moments. So I appreciate you guys for that.
Yeah, thank you, man. And keep up the great work. And we look forward to helping and to move this thing forward as we go. Guys, today you got to hear from Dr. I want to say Doctor. I know I've been calling you Monty all day, but I just got to let the folks know. Dr. Monty Burks, HHS Director of Faith. We really appreciate your trip down here. Folks, we will see you next time. We will also drop in the links the information that you need to understand more about his work and his office. We can plug those links directly into the YouTube videos for you. See you next time.